Let me start again, you guys, because I did not realize I had my sound turned off. Oops, how is that? Uh-oh. Yeah, I forgot to turn my sound back on. Hey, Richquake. Hey, everybody. I hope y'all are here and having a great evening. It's been quite a few days since I have done a live stream and have been here to talk to you guys. I have been going through a lot of different stuff medically and family-wise. And sorry, I have not been able to do a live stream to hang out with you guys and whatnot. Today I'm feeling a lot better. However, I still have an upset stomach, but that's to be expected. I had a what do you call it done? I had a skin biopsy done, and I have another biopsy next month. The skin biopsy came back good, so that's the first one. But the second one, I'm not so sure about. That one is the one that they're more or less worried about. So I have that biopsy next month. What I want to talk to you guys about is, and let's go to this country while I talk about it. So we're going to talk about the country of Iran. So this is Iran here. And what I've noticed is most of the news is pretty quiet on what's going on in Iran. This is like day 22 of an uprising in Iran, or say Iran. And the people there are fighting for their freedom. They are fighting to get away from the regime and to become a democratic country. They were last before 47 years ago, and isn't that kind of odd? If you look at it, the last Shah was 47 years ago. Our president is number 47, and we have a armada of military equipment headed to the Middle East right now. They have killed upwards of 40,000 people, and they are still killing people in the streets. They have gone through shutting down the internet, making sure people can't use phones to call out, to put out the exact information of what's going on. And Trump promised them that if he killed more people, that he would send help. And the statement now is help is on the way. Not Israel, but Iran has threatened Trump's life. And Trump has threatened that if they try to take his life out, then he will obliterate Iran. A lot of the people in the regime are defecting. Soldiers are defecting. Police department is defecting. No, I have not looked up 47 in biblical numerology. I should look it up. Let me see what 47 in biblical numerology is. 47, I believe. Biblical numerology. It says the number 47 doesn't have a singular explicit meaning like some other numbers, but is often interpreted through its components. 4 is creation and stability, and 7 for divine perfection, to signify spiritual growth, fulfillment of God's promise, divine guidance, and transformation after trials. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is about Iran, they used to be friends with Israel. They used to be friends with Israel. If you go way, way back in the Bible to Cyrus, and you go back to, who was it? I believe it's Daniel, Coat of Many Colors. You go back to then in time, and you look at that season, you will see that Cyrus was told that the time was up and that the Israelites, the Jews, were supposed to go back home. So Cyrus let those Jews go, sent them with money and everything that they could need to go back to Israel to rebuild the temple. And that is one of the things that Iran did for the people of Israel. There are other things where they protected Israel and used to be friends with Israel. Then, of course, the Islamic regime came in and took over Iran. And this has been 47 years. 47 years of tyranny. 47 years of the Islamic State brutalizing the people that live there. Now, if we are going to look, I want to look at the major religions in Iran. So I do know that Islam is 30% of the people. So percentages of religion in Iran. So if you look at it here, they'll tell you that it's Muslim 99.4%, Shia Muslims 90.95%, which is a state religion. Other recognized religions are Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians. Okay? If you look at it, there's also 5 to 10% Sunni Muslims that live there. The Turkmens. But what a lot of people don't realize is this. When it came down to the religion, everybody there has to put on their certificates that they are Muslim, right? Okay. Even if they aren't, all right? So, if you look at the percentage, the actual percentage, you'll find out that more than 70% of Iran is not Muslim. And most of them still practice their own religions. However, they don't let the Islamic State know that they are. But if you've been paying any attention, what I've noticed with the protests that are going on in the United States, I don't see a whole lot of people standing up for the Iranians for their freedom. Okay? I see some protests that are going on that are Iranians, but I've seen them being attacked. Okay? I've seen them being attacked in other countries. All right? I've seen them being arrested for trying to put up their flag. All right? I have seen a lot going on. And I wonder why the people of the United States who are free are not out helping and protesting with the Iranians for their freedom. People need to understand that a free Iran equals a more stable Middle East. Rich Quake says, thank you everyone for watching. You all are greatly appreciated. He said, I looked it up. Very interesting. So yeah, that's what's going on in the Middle East. And then I've been noticing this. I've also noticed something else. The protests, which are going on in Minneapolis and in other parts of the country. You would think that the people themselves who are being protested for might be the ones that would be out in the streets protesting. But what I'm noticing is it's a bunch of people who are not of that ethnicity who are out protesting. And what else I noticed is that people are protesting. This is a time of good versus evil, okay? I'm just going to say it like that. It's a time of good versus evil. You have ICE agents out there trying to do their job. Now let's go back to Biden and Obama. One of those presidents, I believe it was under Obama, it may have been under Biden, actually arrested 3 million illegal immigrants, okay, and deported them, all right? You didn't hear a whole protest going on then over it. You didn't hear people out in the streets yelling and screaming about their rights and these people, my neighbors, being abducted. You didn't hear all of that, right? I didn't hear any of it. What I saw was Black Lives Matter going on in 2020. But none of that. None of that. You didn't see people protesting over people being picked up and deported. But it seems like under Trump, people are in the streets yelling and screaming about murderers, let's say apists, criminals, people who have extensive criminal records being arrested. It doesn't make any sense. The last thing I want to protect is a criminal. Okay? The last person I want in this country is a criminal. And if God forbid you're in this country illegally and you're a criminal, you shouldn't be here. That makes sense. Okay? But what doesn't make sense is people going crazy over illegals, criminals who are in this country. It doesn't make sense. Okay? I mean, if you are here in this country legally, then you should have nothing to worry about. But if you're in this country illegally, and if you also have a criminal record, I think you should have plenty to worry about. So something else I wanted to mention about Iran. I had put this the other day. I had gone and done a little bit of research, and I believe this goes back to the Bible here. So if we look at the history in the Bible for Iran, you'll find out that they have a lot to do with Israel. Okay. However, they came under Islam, but there is a prophecy in the Bible that I don't think a lot of people have been looking at. And that is Jeremiah 49:39. And it says, where the prophet declares God's promise, yet I will restore the fortunes of Elam in the days to come, says the Lord, signifying both judgment and ultimate restoration of an ancient people of Elam. Elam is often associated with modern day Iran. Elam, and let me see here, I believe Elam was the son of Noah. Who is Elam? In the Bible, Elam refers to a son of Shem, who was Noah's son. Okay? In the ancient land of the people named after him. They were located east of Mesopotamia and modern day Iran. Okay? They were called the Elamites, and they appear as a significant ancient nation involved in events like Abraham's time, Genesis 14, and later as subjects of prophetic warning and promises of restoration, Isaiah and Jeremiah, with their presence noted at Pentecost, Acts 22.9. So, when you look at this, this is in prophecy, okay? So I say that this is prophetic, and that I believe that these people are about to be set free. So that is my hope for them. Rich Quake says, say hello to my little friend. Which little friend? Skylar? Skylar's been, I was out of school today. She was sick today. Reminds me of the movie Scarface on a grand scale. Yeah. One second. So, I don't know how many of y'all know this, so I'm going to say it this way. I voted for Trump. When I voted for Trump, I knew what I was voting for, okay? I knew what I was voting for. I was voting for the swamp to get drained, the fraud to be gone, okay? I was voting for all of those things when I voted, okay? There are a few things that have been done that I'm not so sure I agree with, but we'll see if it makes things better. I do know that they said that the housing market is down. Hopefully that means rent rates are going to go down. I know now that we have a Muslim for a mayor in New York. That's something I never thought I would see happen. Since Muslims attacked the World Trade Center, I would have never thought I'd see something like that happen. And then if we're taking a look across the pond at London, we can see that a whole lot is going on over there with Islam becoming a issue in those countries. Rich Quake, what do you keep messaging? You keep taking your messages back. So yes, I'm seeing a lot of these things going on. So tonight is just a chat, you guys. I'm just telling y'all my thoughts and feelings on things. Sorry, but I think the protests are a waste of time. I think that if you're going to go out there and you're going to protest the government, you might be a little bit foolish. Hey, the Fuzzy Falcon, how are you doing? I think that it's foolish. I'm sorry. But, you know, one thing that I've noticed with all those protests, and I've been checking them out and looking at them, they all seem to have something in common. A need for soap in their mouths. Okay? A need for soap in their mouths. All right? Let's just say they curse more than sailors do. There is a good way to get your point across, and there's a bad way to get your point across. And what I've been noticing is these people with these protests, they're following ICE around. They're getting in the way of them doing their jobs. Okay? And like I just said a few minutes ago, if you are legal and you're a criminal in this country, you shouldn't be here. I totally agree with getting murderers and apists and robbers and people like that out of our country. We don't need that here. We have enough here in our country. We need to build this country back with values and morals. Okay, and that's one of the things that seems to be missing in the United States is values and morals. Okay, and what I see is not what I want my children to grow up to, especially my granddaughter. You know, I don't get some of what I'm seeing. It's crazy. And yeah, I wouldn't go out there and protest for that. If they had a protest going on for freedom of the people in Iran, I would be one of those people that would be out there to stand with them. But protesting against illegals being in our country, criminals, man, all criminals should be in jail. They shouldn't be running around loose on our streets. Whoever came up with the sanctuary city thing, you can go commit a crime, go to jail for one night and be out the next day and never go back to prison. So you get away in essence with what you just did. That makes no sense to me. Okay, that makes no sense. Maybe because I worked with law enforcement for a long time. Maybe that's why it doesn't make sense to me how there are mayors and governors and stuff who protect criminals. It just doesn't make any sense. And then, you know, reading all this stuff about fraud. Oh yes, that is one of the reasons why I voted the way I voted, so that there wouldn't be, so that the swamp could get drained. Okay. So I have no problem with the way that I voted. The riot, they're not protests. Yeah, they're not protests anymore. They are riots. You're right, Broke Fishin'. They are definitely riots. If you talk to the normal people in these towns, they don't want them there anymore. Okay? They want it cleaned up. They want these people deported. They want the protest over, because these protests only signify the fact of degradation in our society. Okay? I will be honest with you that. It's degradation. I mean, it's like me saying, it's okay to come in and rob my house. By the way, you can have that stuff because you know what? You stole it from me. That's not okay. How about these people in California that are going and breaking into stores, looting the stores, okay? Getting away with it. The people that own the stores are the ones that end up suffering from it and end up eventually having to close the stores. Then you have Walmarts, supercenters, and different places that are having to close their businesses because they've been robbed so many times, it doesn't make sense to keep those stores open anymore. So a lot of the big stores are ending up moving out of these cities. Okay? That's why you're sitting there and a lot of people talk about food deserts. Well, if your area was criminally empty, then you might have these big stores that are there that you're able to go to buy food and everything that you need. So it all starts with getting rid of the crime. Huh. Rich Quake said 37 minutes at Rich Quake. Tells she is still live. Tells sis is live. Rich Quake says I'm going to have a 420 puff for you, Falcon. Rich Quake says Broke. She said she sang Ozzy Osbourne for me last tonight. Cool. Rich Quake, you're gonna sing? You guys, Miss D is going live on her channel, so she's going to have a music night. Y'all are welcome to go over there and watch her music show. So anyways, you guys, Trump went and spoke in Davos today. He talked about how the United States is doing economically. And there may have also been a settlement on what's going to happen with Greenland. Even though Trump kind of messed up on his speech and kept calling Greenland Iceland. That's interesting, right? Well, I've done it before. See, Greenland is full of ice and Iceland is green. So you just got to remember them in reverse. Only problem was Trump didn't remember it that way. And then I don't understand the need for the United States to take over Greenland. We already have 16 bases there. We have 16 bases in Greenland. So I don't understand our need to have to assert dominance over Greenland. I think the fact that it actually belongs to another country is a good idea. Because here's the difference. If they become another American state or country, are we going to watch them like we do Puerto Rico and these other states? Or, because they want to be autonomous, okay? And I believe that they should have the right to stay autonomous, all right? They have lived without having civilization next door or big countries involved because they pretty much have their own government in Greenland and in some of these other islands. So, you know, it is something that the United States is worrying about, as in protecting the United States. But I think with having 16 military bases there, we could probably have like a rental agreement, which means that we rent the areas. And, but if you go back in history, you'll find out that the United States actually had Greenland first and then gave it to Norway, okay? And, Trump said it was stupid that we gave Greenland to Norway because Greenland is over here by Canada and the United States. For those of you who don't know where Greenland is, let me show you. So this is Greenland right here, and this is Iceland, okay? So when you're looking at it, this is Canada. So why doesn't Canada have control of Greenland? See, that's just crossed my mind for a little bit. I have wondered about that one. This is Canada here. Canada here. We got Canada up into here. So we got Norway over here. So honestly, if we're looking, Norway is closer to Greenland than the United States is. But hey, and then poor little Canada right here. I heard we were having tiffs with Canada lately. That Canadians and Americans were throwing threats and stuff at each other. You guys, we've been friends with Canada for a very long time. And if something were to happen and Canada would be attacked, the United States would be the first ones there to help them. Okay? And I believe the same way would go from Canada helping the United States. Okay? So that's just my opinion. I wouldn't draw too much into it. Canada is a beautiful country. Canada is mostly wild. I mean, if you go here, you'll see that there's not many towns. There's this little itty bitty towns out here. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of land. Right? Richquake, right? So anyways, Richquake has been telling me all about Mayan volcano erupting this last week. I didn't know that it had been erupting, but he had sent me videos and I had been keeping an eye on that. I also know that there has been a swarm going on in California. You guys, I wouldn't be worrying too much about this swarm in California. Like I said before, unless you start seeing fives, I wouldn't be worrying. It is a release of pressure. It's better to have small earthquakes than to have large ones. Trump is playing Risk, and it's many steps ahead of the other players. Yes, you're right, he is. But to be honest, you guys, I think that we're about to wake up and hear that we have gone into Iran. He did send 25,000 soldiers over there. And you noticed they were pulling back soldiers from being in the Middle East in these areas. And all of a sudden, 25,000 soldiers have been sent to the Middle East. So it makes you wonder exactly what's going to happen, because in Iran, the government there is so messed up right now that they've had to call in outside forces to come do the dirty work for them, as in shooting the Iranian people. Okay. So you've got military from Pakistan. You got military from Afghanistan. You got military from some other countries. They say that they are Hezbollah and all of these different groups who are coming in there and doing the dirty work for the Ayatollah. Ugh, the Ayatollah. So, anyways, Richard says, I will claim Greenland and call it something special. LOL. Oh my goodness. Fuzzy Falcon says, I'm in the Memphis area and we're going to have over a foot of snow Saturday, supposedly. Let's see here. I am in, and I got some good news as long as it keeps up, okay? I'm going to show y'all my good news. As long as it keeps up. My birthday, you guys, is on the 25th. Look, I'm supposedly going to have snow on the 25th, starting the night of the 24th, 25th. Yeah, see? I don't believe it. I'll believe it when it gets here. How's that? Because I'm just looking at this and seeing the 24th and the 25th. This is my birthday here. So I'm just looking at this and I'm saying, hey, I've been praying for snow. I wanted snow for Christmas, but it looks like we might actually have some for my birthday. Woohoo! Okay, so I don't know how much snow we're supposed to have. I was trying to figure that out. I can't figure that out. So let me see here. Let me go over here and see how much snow is expected in Fayetteville. So, I'm looking. It says a winter storm is expected to bring a mix of precipitation to Fayetteville, NC from Friday night, January 23rd through Sunday, January 25th, 2026. While early forecasts indicate a potential... Good night, my love. While early forecasts indicated a potential for significant snow, the current trend suggests a heavier mix of sleet and freezing rain with lesser, though still possible, snow accumulations. So, I don't want any sleet and I don't want any ice, but we're definitely going to have ice because if you saw that, it's supposed to get down to 29 degrees. Yes, I said that. 29 degrees during this weekend. It's been freezing here the last few days. I've been like, brr, because it's 42 degrees right now. Well, 44. It says it's partly cloudy. It was nice and sunny today, but it was really cold. Let me see. It says it feels like it's 45 degrees right now. So let's see here. It says it feels like 45 and the low tonight will be 42. But when you get up here to the 24th, it's going to be 23 degrees at night with 32 during the day, 31 during the day, and 31 at night on my birthday. Woohoo! And then tonight it's going to get down to 42. Tomorrow will be 61 degrees and 44 at night. 23rd it's going to rain and it's going to get 32 degrees at night. So that means we'll have icy streets in the morning. And then, of course, snow and rain is going to be down to 23 degrees. We're still going to have snow and ice. So that's going to be snow and ice all the way from Friday through Sunday. Ugh. So, I don't know what it is with people that are running out and getting bread and milk because, you know, they're expecting for the electric to have issues. So just know that if it's freezing outside and you have bought milk, you can just set it outside and it'll stay frozen for you. But I don't understand the need of everybody rushing out and grabbing bread and milk, okay? Unless, of course, you're buying bread and peanut butter or tuna, you know. Milk doesn't stay good long in a refrigerator, so if you put it outside, then you can keep it frozen. It'll stay cold outside. It's good enough for a refrigerator, right? Because it's going to be really cold. But that was one of the jokes that I have seen going on is people rushing to buy all the bread and milk. Broke Fishing says, we will take over also at Richquake and call it Rebecca Land. Fuzzy Falcon says, I have TP and water bottles stocked. That's one thing I need to get is some more water bottles. I haven't gotten any water bottles in the last week, so I need to go definitely stock up on that because water is majorly important if the electric goes out. Trying to keep things clean and sanitized. Let me see here. Huh. Rich Quake says, I don't think I should mention what I would call my island on here. So let's see if I can give y'all anything else. Let's see here. The meteorologists and new forecasts just took a bad turn as the biggest winter storm of the season is incoming. So you can see across here, it's going to be all the way back over here into New Mexico. Across Texas, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Arkansas, Nashville. So we're looking at, let me see if there's any more pictures on here. Can see how, well, that's an ad. Let me see if I can get the ad to skip. So you can see where the low is dipping down into here across Washington. And then it sets up a ridge over here with a low, which all this pink area is where ice and snow is going to be. So we can see it all the way over here. This is Richmond here. This is Raleigh. I am like right in this area right here. So this is snow, ice, and rain. So yep, it goes all the way across country. So one of the things to do is be prepared. I've seen lots of jokes going on, okay? Last week, Florida had snow. Do they drive tricycles in Rebecca Land? Oh, Lord Richard, y'all gonna keep giving me a hard time about that tricycle, aren't you? No, I don't have a tricycle. Got a big bag of gravy train for my dog. That's awesome. I've finally gotten my dog to figure out what kind of food it eats after 6 years of going through all kinds of different dog food. She only eats kibbles and bits. I've tried to get her on the healthy stuff and she just would not eat it. So let's see here. Let's see what the newest news is right now. I want to look at earthquakes real quick. They'll open for me. So let's take a look. Latest earthquakes. Let's go to the magnitude 5s. There was just a 6.1 in Volcano Island 7 hours ago. It was a 6.1. Now, I have missed a few for this last week. The last one I talked to you guys about was a 6.0 off the coast of Oregon. Then there was a 6.0 southeast of Loyalty Islands. A 5.0 Owen Fracture Zone, which is in the Atlantic, I believe. Let me make sure. No, it's not. It's over there by Africa. So, I got that wrong. Ding. Okay. And then there was another 5.3 Owen Fracture Zone. Then there was a 6.1 Volcano Islands, Japan region. And then we're looking at South Sandwich Islands has had a 5.2. So that has closed off the areas on the west coast. So we are actually looking probably for an earthquake in Mexico. There's also been a 5.9 Eastern New Guinea, Papua New Guinea region. And then Tonga has also had a 5.1. Of course, Moro Gulf, Mindanao, Philippines has had a 5.3. So we're looking at Indonesia's already had its quakes. So we're looking at Chile, Venezuela, and Mexico. As far as what's going on in California, let's see what we got here. On 12/31/2025 was the last 5.0 in California. So could possibly see something in California, but we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to play that one by ear. Let's see what we've had for California today. Today's been really busy. It starts all the way down here with a 2.3 in Southern California. There was a 4.4 in Southern California. There's been mostly 2s in California besides the 4.4 in Southern California today, which was 98 kilometers east of Moreno Valley. So that one was 5 kilometers deep, more than likely felt. And look, see what the felt reports on it were. Let's see here. There was 52 felt reports on this one. There was 3 felt reports on this 2.1 here. Oops. Let's see here. Okay, so can't get a cheesesteak sandwich here in Canada, huh? You can make one of those though. All right, you guys. Well, this is the end of my live stream. Just thought I would live stream, talk to you guys for a little bit. I've actually been keeping an eye on the news and what's going on. You know, we all have to pray for each other and for everybody else in the world. And I think that it's very important to keep the people of Iran in prayer that they will have freedom and peace soon. And that if the United States does go in, that we are able to accomplish helping them to have freedom and peace. Anyways, you guys, thank you for being here. Broke Fishing, Rich Quake, the Fuzzy Falcon, and everybody else who's tuned into my live chat tonight. I appreciate you. And I will be back with another video or live stream. Depends on how I feel tomorrow. Like I said, today I'm feeling better, but, you know, my stomach is still a twisty. Some of it has been because of the sun. I had a headache because of the sun flare. We had a nice X class. Anyways, you guys, I love you. Please remember to tell someone you love them. Tomorrow's never promised. Make each day an adventure. And remember, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, Democrat, Republican, Independent, or whatever, be good to your neighbors. Be good to your friends. Be good to those who are not bad to you. Anyways, you guys, I love you. And I hope y'all have a great night.